Hello and welcome to Candid Conversation. Our guest this week is an eminent scholar of Sufism and Pakistani politician Tahir-ul-Qadri, who hit the headlines in 2014 with his call for a massive protest march against the Nawaz Sharif government in Pakistan. He is in Delhi to attend World Sufi Forum being hosted by India. Welcome, Mr. Qadri, to Candid Conversation. You are a leading participant in World Sufi Forum. What, according to you, ails the Muslim world in contemporary times?
I think Muslim world, as well as the whole human world, needs concentration on the spiritual, developing the spiritual faculties of human beings. The more the spiritual faculties are developed, the more you get inner peace, and the more you develop peace in your inner self, the more you are enabled to provide the peace to every single individual living in your neighborhood. This is what is lacking in our whole world. We have to concentrate on this particularly.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi said while inaugurating the World Sufi Forum that out of the 99 names of Allah, not even one stands for violence. In a world that is plagued with terrorism and extremism, does Sufism provide an antidote to terrorism?
Absolutely, yes. Sufism counters the narrative of terrorism. Sufism stands for uniting the mankind. Terrorism stands for dividing the mankind. Sufism expands your heart and creates space for every single creation of Almighty God. Respect for everyone, love for everyone, care for everyone. And terrorism is a self-centered, arrogant style of life which leads towards the cutting of necks, and leads toward the segregation of people, division of the society, disintegration of society, whereas Sufism leads us towards integration and cohesion of society.
So what would you say is the Sufism formula of life, and does Wahhabism distort the meaning of Islam?
So Sufism is absolutely love, moderation, tolerance. As far as other aspect of interpretation of teachings which you have asked in your question, that leads the man towards narrowism, and narrow-mindedness leads one towards extremism. And extremism in any sort, in any kind, in any manifestation is not in the benefit of human beings.
While majority of Muslims in the Indian subcontinent are Sufis, why is it that extremism has an upper hand in this region?
No doubt that overwhelming majority in the whole Muslim world, not only this region, I'm talking of the Arab world and North African world, the whole of the Muslim world, overwhelming majority of the Muslim world are Sufi followers of Sufi path. But the question, why the terrorism and extremism is getting better space, there are different reasons behind that. One is theological. Theological aspect is related to the theology, to a religious mindset, which is very narrow-minded mindset, a very conservative and extremistic interpretation of certain teachings, a very wrong interpretation, conservative interpretation, extremistic interpretation of certain concepts and terms. There are some socio-economic reasons behind that: poverty, ignorance, joblessness, lack of justice, and lack of human rights. Socio-economic reasons are also something which is creating a scenario which is favorable for accessibility of extremism and terrorism. And there are some political reasons, and then there are some financial reasons. There are factors, and there are actors who are spending money to destabilize certain areas, certain countries. If they see already these people, these tribes, these families, or these group of people, they are frustrated because of their own local problems. They hire them, they buy them, They provide them salary, they provide them scholarships, they take them. And most of the families living in poverty and frustration, they don't bother where our children are going, what would be their end and what would be their fate. They think they are getting money, it is their job. So terrorism is increasing and expanding as a job, as a business. It is generating money. Money is being spent on it and it is generating money.
And are those the reasons that you would attribute to growing radicalization in many parts of the world, including in Pakistan?
Some youth, younger people, they are confused about international situations. They don't see in that particular area, the internationally they don't see that they are getting justice or they are not getting their proper right, for example. And they see the same kind of situation at other country, at other part of the world. There the dealing or the standards are different. So all these international political situations also frustrate them. Since they are not knowledgeable people and they are accessible to terrorists also, so they get confused. At this point, they are not, they are unable to differentiate between the political prompting of political situation and the commandments of Quran and commandments of Islam. Quran and Islam says, even if injustice is being done with you, even a war has been imposed on you, and two countries or two nations are directly at war, even in this situation, you are not a common people or organizations are not allowed to take up the arms and to attack on civilians of a country who is already at war with you. Country at war. You can't attack on the non-combatants. You can't kill the civilians. So Islam prohibits every kind of act of terrorism without ifs and buts. In any situation, you are not allowed to kill the civilians. But most of the younger generation, they don't read the Quran and Islamic books. They just see the political scenario, local scenario, socio-economic scenario.
And there are also those who are running the industry of radicalization.
And running of nurseries, they also influence them, and all things get mixed. And then they are accessible, and the states and governments, I think, are not doing enough to terminate the terrorism from its root.
Even in Pakistan, you have openly opposed terror activities in Jammu and Kashmir and the rest of India, which you say are against the tenets of Islam. What is the kind of public response to your stand in Pakistan?
I am here in India. I have been saying the same thing in Pakistan, and I will emphasize and re-emphasize in India that the issue of Kashmir should be resolved through dialogue. India and Pakistan should decide one thing, whether they have decided to live like enemies throughout their life or they want to end the state of enmity and hostility. Pakistan and India, both countries have to decide it. I think Pakistan and India should live like friends, live like good neighbors. They should establish peaceful relations. They should develop trust. They should develop the trust-building measures between them, and they should sit down on the table and talk on every issue, including Jammu and Kashmir, including Bombay attacks, including Pathankot, and including the allegations which Pakistan has against India.
While both India and Pakistan, Mr. Qadri, have said that they are for dialogue on all issues for resolution, but there is this problem of terrorism being used as an instrument of state policy, some say, to achieve a particular end in Kashmir. Do you condemn that?
I will say, this is stance of India, and India has a right to say and think whatever India wants. Similarly, Pakistan has its own stance. But none of these two countries, India and Pakistan, have been able till today to come up with categorical and unrebuttable evidences. And if they have the evidences, they should sit down together. I will again say, sit down together and get rid of all this problem.
That's what they've done as far as 2611 is concerned. Yeah. Several dossiers have been exchanged now. As far as the Pathankot attack is concerned, a special investigation team would be coming from Pakistan.
Yes, I appreciate
but isn't there a problem of terrorism in Kashmir.
Say again,
Shouldn't that be condemned?
any act of terrorism anywhere in any part of the world is condemnable. I am not a man who will support any allegation, neither on this side nor on that side. I will again support the dialogue, and dialogue not for the sake of dialogue. They should hold dialogue in order to end the hostility, in order to end the enmity. Both countries should spend their budget not on the militaries, on the disputed issues. Let them spend their budget on education. Let them spend their budget on economic growth. Let them spend their budget on alleviation of poverty. They should spend their budget on prosperity, on establishing peace and security for the whole region. I tell you, peace in Kashmir is in favor of India and in favor of Pakistan. Let be peace in Kashmir. Whatever solution India and Pakistan come up with it, it should be it will be in benefit of the Kashmir, in benefit of India, in the benefit of Pakistan, in the benefit of South Asia. I am in favor of dialogue. I won't support any kind of accusation or allegation on any side, because I want to remain neutral. I want to say them sit on the table of dialogue and say whatever you want to say.
National security advisors of both the countries are discussing terrorism. Of late, we have seen that there are a lot of educated youth who are getting attracted to the Islamic State. What should be done to wean them away from such forces, and how can we de-radicalize those already in their net?
Certain youth in different countries, not only in Pakistan and India, but in UK, in America, in Canada, in European world, in East and West, very small amount, but youth, a more specific amount of youth are being influenced and attracted by the ISIS. What we are required to do, states should come together. They should join the hands, and they should fight against ISIS to terminate them, to terminate their roots. This is a joke. To me, the war on terror, in which way we are fighting for the last 2 or 3 decades, this is not more than a joke. How these small movements and groups of peoples, how they become so large and big problem, and they become very big organization. Who supports them? Who provides them facilities to develop? Who provides them an atmosphere, an environment to prosper? Who provides them opportunities to live and to develop and to attack and to do whatever they are doing? All states, whether Muslims or non-Muslims, secular or religious, they should get together. This ISIS, this is an enmity of all mankind. They are enemies of mankind. They are enemies of Islam. They are enemies of every religion. They are enemies of every human society. No room should be provided or should be allowed for any kind of terrorism. And terrorism, you can't finish it unless you terminate extremism. So we have to address the issue at the level of extremism. Ideological extremism, political extremism, linguistic extremism, territorial extremism, theological extremism, political, any kind of extremism. This leads to terrorism. And we have to address, and terrorism, let me explain, is not an Islamic phenomena. It has nothing to do with Islam.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with any religion. Terrorism itself is a religion. Kill mankind, it has become a religion. Nonsense. All religions have to get together. Our states and societies should get together to fight against terrorism, because this would be a holy war in order to save the life of mankind.
On that note, we'll take a break in Candid Conversation. Today we are in conversation with Pakistani politician, cleric, a leading voice on Sufism, Tahir-ul-Qadri, who is in India to attend the World Sufi Forum, that is spreading the message of peace and coexistence and countering radical and violent interpretations of Islam. Welcome back. You're watching Candid Conversation with Tahir-ul-Qadri, an eminent scholar of Sufism and Pakistani politician. Mr. Qadri, if Sufism is the antidote to terrorism, then what should be done to popularize Sufism? Because we understand that the ideology of Sufism is under threat, because several shrines of Sufis and several Sufi mosques have been under attack the world over.
Sufism is a great message. It is not the legacy of Islam only. This is legacy of Indian culture too. You see in Bhagavad Gita, you see in Vedas, and you see in other their own yogas and their own ways, and you see in Buddhism, you see in Christianity. So this core message of Sufism, message of love, message of mutual respect, message of accommodation, message of tolerance.
How will this message be popularized so that impact of such forums do not visit?
This is a common message of all religions. This should be popularized. I think media, first of all, should create a room for this message. Governments should concentrate on propagating and providing their moral support to strengthen this kind of message. This message should be heard all over the world. Whenever an act of terrorism takes place, it is highlighted all over the world because this is a act of bloodshed, act of bomb blast. So it takes place, it creates news. When you talk of any message, Sufistic message, the message of love, the message of peace, the message of generosity, the message of mutual respect, when you talk of humanistic message, it doesn't get space in the media. We should include the Sufism and Sufistic message along with counter-terrorism, message of counter-terrorism and peace and security, and de-radicalization as a full-fledged science, as a full-fledged curriculum, as a full-fledged subject. It should be taught in schools, up to universities. It should be taught in the madrasas and mosques, up till the higher levels of education. Everyone should be taught according to the legacy and traditions of its own faith and its own religion. It should get more importance.
So media and education system, you are saying, should play a role. India is a multicultural, multilinguistic and multi-religious society. Can it become a role model for the Islamic world as far as coexistence is concerned?
I don't think this much great number of religions and faiths living in one country, you can't give any example in any other part of the world. There are basically the Indians, the Hindus. There are a very, very large number of Muslims, very large number of Buddhists, large number of Christians, large number of Sikhs, large number of Jainis, large number of all other religions. Such a multicultural and multi-religious and multi-faith society. India should concentrate in promoting this mutual tolerance. Definitely, if India creates this example, it should be followed by other secular countries like that. And the Muslim countries they should also do the same. There are non-Muslim minorities in their countries. And Muslim countries and Muslim societies should also realize that Holy Prophet of Islam, when he formulated the first state of Islam in Medina after migration, he created a multicultural society. So Holy Prophet declared all cultures and religions as a single nation. Those who were living in one territorial limit under one constitution. Why not all Muslim countries and why not other secular countries? Of course, they also believe in the secular pluralism and multicultural aspect. So all societies should work together. This is a common phenomenon. Enemy is common and cause is common. And all countries, Muslims or other secular or non, should work together to achieve this end.
I would like to draw your attention to a controversy which is brewing in India, which is that some politicians are refusing to say Bharat Mata Ki Jai, and there are those who believe that saying this would be un-Islamic. Would you like to shed some light on that?
I would say this thing has nothing to do with Islamic teachings. This is not the subject of Islamic commandments. As far as I understand, I am not very expert of Hindi language. As far as I understand, Mata means mother. Jai means Zindabad or this kind of word. This word is common in every nation. You say Bharat Mata. In English it is said motherland. In Pakistani Urdu language and Persian, Iranian language, it is named Madar-e-Watan. Everybody says motherland is like mother. So every nation loves is Watan, every nation loves his motherland. Everybody says it is our Madar-e-Watan. So there shouldn't be any problem. Absolutely, everybody living in any country should love his land. That's it.
You were politically active in Pakistan for quite some time. What are your political plans now?
Let it go on according to the Pakistani situation. We will look at that.
There are your critics in Pakistan and elsewhere who say that you are a tool of the military. and that you had given a call in 2013 for a Million Man March, and after that there was a deal between you and the military, and it wasn't carried through in the sense that you did not really ensure that Asif Ali Zardari's government resigned. The same thing happened with regard to Nawaz Sharif, they say. What do you say to your critics?
I totally rebut and refute this allegation. This allegation is false, baseless, and it has no content in it. Let me explain. There was no agreement between my struggle and military in 2013, neither in 2013 nor in 2015. That agreement took place between me and the Zardari's government. There were 10 federal ministers who came to me, and we signed an agreement of electoral reforms, and it was signed by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Raja Ashraf Parvez, the then Prime Minister, and 10 ministers and political leaders from that side came, and there was an agreement between us. It was a political agreement. 5 points were in the agreement, and they were for electoral reforms. And the government, after this agreement, we went back and they did not implement it. Nothing to do with military. Absolutely, military was rotten scene. The same was in 2015. If there was the military establishment was behind this march, then on 31st of August, Nawaz Sharif would have come to its end. It was a struggle against corruption and struggle for devolution of power and struggle for the political reforms, electoral reforms, which I am already struggling since 1990s. These are political theology for true democracy.
There are those who call you an enigma wrapped in a riddle. They say that you portray different sides of yourself when you're addressing Pakistani citizens and when you're addressing Westerners. They say you talk about peace, about coexistence, about democracy and civil rights when you address Westerners, whereas when you talk to Pakistani citizens, you talk about movements, revolutions. What would you say to them?
I would say all movements and revolutions means democratic revolution, educational revolutions, moral revolutions, revolution against corruption, revolution against injustice, revolution for restoration of human rights. Revolution means a change, nothing else. You say industrial revolution, you say educational revolution, you say social revolution, we say constitutional revolution, we say legal revolution. There is revolution in school, there is revolution in culture. Revolution means a change. So I am always pro-change, I am always pro-revolution, but my revolution is always peaceful, for human rights, for alleviation of poverty, for empowerment of women, for empowerment of poor, for empowerment of weak, to create equality for everyone, to create equal opportunities for all people, against concentration of this wealth and corruption, against corruption. So if this is some kind of wrong revolution and this changes the address in West and East, so I would say yes, and if it is a proper thing, I speak the same language wherever I am, whether I am in Pakistan or in India or in the West or East. I always speak one language and I have never changed my stand throughout my life.
So you are saying there is no contradiction. It was
absolutely
a pleasure to speak to you, Mr. Qadri, on Candid Conversation.
Thank you very much.
Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti had famously said that a friend of God must have affection like the sun. When the sun rises, it is beneficial to all, and it does not discriminate between a Hindu, Muslim or Christian. That's the message of interfaith harmony and coexistence with which Sufi scholars have come to Delhi to attend the World Sufi Forum. Thanks for watching.